Defining the 90s ideal of strong female character with her iconic turn as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sarah Michelle Gellar evolved the perception of the Scream Queen with big screen starring roles and now senior creative positions, shepherding in a whole new generation of genre lovers. Getting her start as a child star from a string of Burger King commercials before becoming an Emmy award-winning teen on soap All My Children, Sarah Michelle Gellar became an icon thanks to one little word: Buffy. After a flop film of the same name, at 18, SMG took over the role of Buffy the Vampire Slayer from Kristy Swanson, beginning what would be a 7-season run that would change television, change pop culture, and change female characters forever.
My name is Joanna Robinson. I'm a senior writer at The Ringer. I think it's hard to completely wrap your arms around how impactful Sarah Michelle Gellar in Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Buffy Summers was in the 90s, as we have this incredible, there is the commercially packaged quote unquote girl power movement, but there's also the way in which our perception of what it meant to be a desirable woman, a strong woman, an interesting woman was at a real inflection point in the 90s, and the way in which Buffy coalesced our ideas of conventional beauty, because Sarah Michelle Gellar is a thin young blonde woman, right? But put that into a package of a woman who is much more complicated, had a lot more on her mind, had a lot of darkness inside of her and darkness that she was confronting out in the world. So to take this picture perfect, diminutive blonde and put her in the scenario where she's not the Scream Queen or not the victim, but she is the warrior, was such a key moment in pop culture. And then what she brilliantly did with her film career on top of that was, yes, she's doing Scream 2, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, engaging in a sort of similar milieu. But then when she does something like Cruel Intentions, which, she swaps the blonde hair for darker hair, but she really, really confronted the goody two-shoes vibe that she was getting off of Buffy and really, really made us pay attention to the many facets that a young woman could have. And I love her performance in Cruel Intentions because that is a character who is unabashedly cruel, but also unabashedly interesting and compelling and demanding our empathy at the end of the day, which is really tough with a character like that. And it's something that she really pulled off.
As Joanna mentioned, it wasn't just demons and gender stereotypes Buffy was kicking in the face. It was genre conventions themselves. While concurrently starring on a TV show that subverted genre conventions, she was also starring in big screen horror films that subverted them as well. And not just any horror films, ones that would go on to define an era. Whether that was meta slashers like Scream 2 and I Know What You Did Last Summer, or the American wave of J-horror with The Grudge. A final girl and victim simultaneously, she was able to flex even more range and skill as an actress, with a groundbreaking villain turn as Catherine in Cruel Intentions, alongside Reese Witherspoon, Ryan Phillippe, and Selma Blair. Combine that with the role of Daphne in the live-action Scooby-Doo films alongside her real-life husband, Freddie Prinze Jr., and her status as one of the most prominent 90s and noughts it girls was confirmed.
When we think about that unattainable goddess of earlier screen, goddesshood of earlier cinema, and then we think about where we are now when it comes to really, really valuing authenticity and relatability and all of that we look through in our leading women. When you think of someone like Jennifer Lawrence, say, who is all about sort of that down-to-earth rough and tumble, I feel like Sarah Michelle Gellar is sort of right in this middle period as we're transitioning and was able to sort of encompass both at the same time.
With a new generation coming of age, Sarah Michelle Gellar's screen status has only solidified as she has re-entered the spotlight with roles in cult films like Do Revenge and taken on senior creative positions in shows like Teen Wolf spin-off Wolfpack as both a star and producer.